Thank you for sitting down with me.
Yeah, no problem, man. Happy to be here.
All right. So this is TJ with TJOmega.net, and I am sitting with none other than Chad James, Ben Singer, the boys of Death Battle, Wiz and Boomstick.
Yeah,
like
the boys of Death Battle.
It's covered. Hang on. Let me get
the
my-
merch.
Oh yeah, right.
Get
See,
the
this is gonna be a
merch.
great interview.
There we
Ben's
go.
already starting
All
to
right.
strip.
Brand new shirt on roosterteethstore.com.
That is so cheap. That just takes the product down so much. Which is where I put up the link to the merch page right there.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
So I think I need to start off by asking the one question I think every YouTuber would love to ask you guys. Everyone would love to ask you.
Why did Goku lose?
No, because
Okay.
we want to make it out of here alive. No, can you get my resume to Bernie Burns?
All right.
I mean, I can.
I don't know when he'll do
what
it.
happens after that?
It's
Yeah.
It's just an elaborate scheme to get a job.
There you go.
No, but we got to talk about 5 years ago, and that's been the big change since the last time we spoke. So how has it been since moving to Rooster Teeth?
Oh man, it's been great. So, and how that all came about is basically we were acquired by a company called Full Screen, and then Full Screen acquired Rooster Teeth, and then I took a look and they were like, that Screw Attack's pretty much just kind of like a miniature Rooster Teeth, so that makes sense. Let's put them together. And like we've always known RT as well, and had like a little bit of like a working relationship at times. So like they were always super cool, and they're really welcoming, and it's been awesome for us as a channel. They've just really opened up a lot of resources. And so we were doing that up in Dallas still, but we kind of all knew, like with Rooster Teeth being in Austin, we were like, it's gonna happen. We're gonna get relocated, and so we did that in 2017. So we've been down there for just a little bit over a year, and it's been awesome. It was crazy, like uprooting like all of our lives and everything like that, and moving down there. But being actually at Rooster Teeth is great. There's so many creative and collaborative people, and it's great just being able to be there and. You never know what conversations and ideas pop up just because you're in that space.
Yeah, I feel like you can see that in a reflection of our work. Like if you look at death battles from before Rooster Teeth, so like 4 years or so onward, and you look at the more modern ones, like the quality and just like general production ability of each episode has just gone up. I feel like I look at the old episodes before Rooster Teeth and I think like, man, it's just not as good. Like nowadays, I think we've got something really cool. Yeah, and it's thanks to Rooster Teeth that we're able to take it to the next step.
And it creates these just crazy opportunities. Like we got to write a Red vs. Blue episode.
Oh, nice.
That was awesome.
So cool for both of us because we both watched Red vs. Blue. Ben even more than me. Like I remember, like literally when it first came out, me and Sam were like sitting on his couch. He was like, "Dude, check this out! It's this video I found online." And so we used to watch that, and it was so weird that not only now are we a part of Rooster Teeth, but we actually got to write an episode of Red vs. Blue.
That is cool.
Yeah,
this is really cool. And you guys expanding the brand too. You got Death Battlecast now and DBX, and now it's a whole genre that you're doing, not just one show. Preparing for all of that, were you prepared for Death Battle to become a meme?
So like you mean like when we first started it?
Yeah, well, just in all the growth that you've done, between all the new shows and obviously the higher production and all this, but everyone else, I think more than anything, Death Battle, I see fake versus screens of a million matchups.
Yes, there's a ton of those.
It is kind of funny, so like just scrolling through YouTube or forums or whatever and seeing the thumbnail template that I made being used by a bunch of different people. Like it's just the one that's used now.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, man, what's crazy to me is that Death Battle in itself has just kind of become this like verb that has transcended the show.
Yeah.
So like I've come across things where people were literally like, who would win in a death battle between this, or ooh, what about death battle between this, and they weren't even talking about like
The show.
us doing it on the show. It's just that is now synonymous with versus fights. And when I saw that, I was like, that's crazy. Like,
Well, and a lot of that I think comes from the DeviantArt group,
Community,
the community that built itself around writing their own death battles and coming up with their own matchups and discussing it. And that's way bigger than I ever expected something like that to ever be about one of our shows, let alone Death Battle. And that's awesome. Like, it's fascinating to me that it's taken itself to this kind of level. I would have never expected that.
yeah.
Absolutely never expected that.
Yeah, well, it's the old playground thing. It's like, who would win in a fight, this or this? We have a name for it now.
Yeah.
So everyone uses the name.
I guess that's true. I never really thought about it that way.
Yeah.
Because like when Death Battle came out, there wasn't really anything like it at the time. There were some people doing some versus like discussions, but it was never like an animated fight or really figuring out who would win. The only show that was comparable at the time would be Deadliest Warrior, which was on Spike TV. And even that was less about like fictional characters and stuff, and more about historical figures and soldiers and things like that.
Yeah.
So creating something new, I guess, might have created like a new environment for people to like jump in and start using it in that way.
Yeah.
So through all those memes you've seen, through all the requests, I'm sure you get a billion of them.
Yes.
Tell me the strangest one.
Strangest one.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. Like we thought it was ridiculous the first time when Jared actually threw out like Starscream versus Rainbow Dash. Ha ha ha. That's funny because they're both Hasbro and it's like boys versus girls toys. Like, and then we looked up what the pony could do and it was insane.
Yeah, at this point there really isn't
anything that
strange
surprises
one.
us.
It's like we've done Smokey versus McGruff and Justin Bieber versus Rebecca Black.
Yeah,
like
this is true.
nothing is off the table really.
Yeah.
I
Chuck
do
Norris versus
remember
everything.
the very first episode we published. One of the top rated comments on YouTube for a while was the suggestion for penis versus vagina. So.
That's true. Man, it's also really weird. Whenever we have like a male and a female character going up head to head, we get some weird comments, dude. Like Dante versus Bayonetta, there were so many. It's just like, you know how this fight actually should have ended? With them banging. It's just like, that'd be a whole nother show. We'd probably do really well, though, I'm just going to say.
It's a very special, it's a very, very special part of the first membership.
Yes.
Yeah, you can get a first membership to see Dante.
No, can't even say it.
Okay, take the link down. Don't do that link.
Just bleep out that entire part.
Yes.
That's what
Yeah.
it doesn't exist. Forget I said
3
anything.
minutes, just one white noise. So I was in the panel earlier, and you mentioned Galactus and Unicron.
Yep.
I know you've mentioned in the past. Last time we spoke, one of the ones that we talked about was Aang and Captain Planet.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, did we talk about that 5 years ago?
5 years ago.
It's been a long time.
Oh my god. There are some episodes that we just know have to happen at some point, but it just takes forever for whatever reason.
Yeah, because we had the discussion that I believe it was like Harry Potter versus Aang was the original idea, and it was just such a mismatch.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I still want to see Aang and Captain Planet just to find out if Hart does something.
I mean, we could figure it out. We can figure it out.
Yeah, no, that will be an interesting fight. We always like, even when we have like an idea of one that we want to do, we still need to do like preliminary research too, because a lot of times, we'll like look into it and we'll be like, oh man, like this does not make any sense whatsoever. So we'll see. I'm a little worried with Captain Planet's losing his powers by any sort of pollution. Would mud work? Does that count? When does Earth become like ooky to Captain Planet?
I don't know if that would
I mean?
count because Aang doesn't produce pollution. So if he threw mud on him and we said, "Oh, that's pollution," then that would be something that Aang did not produce for a start.
Right. I'm just wondering. I swear he's gotten it's probably always like sludge or something. Anyway, whatever. This is the way our minds work. Sorry,
Sludge,
we just immediately start going into the debate.
How long can they sit on the pile? Like what's like?
Oh, dude, years. It just depends. Like sometimes Ben and I will talk about a fight like recurring, and sometimes we'll have it scheduled for we have it scheduled for this year, and then it's like, oh, you know what? Actually, just do the way things are working and how we want it to be animated, or there's a million different factors that could cause us to push it, or a lot of other times we have a character, right? That we're like, man, this kid's such a cool character, but who's a good matchup for them? And we'll look at the suggestions, of course, but still sometimes we'll have characters that have just so many different suggestions. There's not one real clear standout. So
perfect example is the episode that's coming out, Samurai Jack vs. Afro Samurai. We've wanted to do that episode forever.
Yeah.
It's been highly requested for well over 5 years. We've had it on our minds for a long time, since almost the very beginning of Death Battle. But I didn't want to do it unless we could do it right.
Right.
And one of the main things about that was I wanted the animation to be completely hand-drawn. I don't think you could do it any other way with these two characters and the way that their own anime and cartoons look and feel. Fortunately, our current in-house 2D animator, or lead 2D animator for Death Battle, came to me and was like, hey, I want to do Samurai Jack vs. Afro Samurai, and I want to hand-draw all of it. I was like, that's freaking perfect. Exactly what we want.
yeah, Luis did an incredible job, which we're showing off at our panel here in a second.
So
Sorry for you guys.
I've heard. Yeah, I was at the panel. I saw a little preview of it. It does look really good.
Yeah, Luis is
I'm really looking forward
incredible.
to that. I will say, I have such pity for your researchers when you do get to Galactus and Unicron. as a lifelong.
I mean, dude, they've been through Naruto, dude.
Like as a lifelong Transformer fan, I'll tell you, Unicron is a mess.
Yeah. There's definitely some interesting ones, and there are times when we know we're gonna do a character, and we just look at our writers, and we're just like, all right, both of these, like throughout the year, there's these 2 matchups, and both of these matchups are gonna suck to research. So like, who wants which one? You know, like
just a wiki page for Unicron that's like a mile long.
Yeah.
It's like every Unicron is the same Unicron. So good luck looking through all those shows. Okay, we did this 5 years ago. Now, I know you take a different approach to Death Battle these days. You take a very lab rat approach to everything. Don't get attached. They're all getting gassed. But I like to level the playing field because no one likes to watch their favorites lose.
no.
Okay.
No, I speak as a Mega Man fan who has to admit Astro Boy would win.
Yeah.
Still recovering from that. But last time the answers were Donatello, Hagar, Chun-Li. It's been 5 years, a lot more Death Battles. Who of your favorites have died?
Oh man. Since then,
Yeah.
you know, it's interesting. Like, we had a similar question at one of our panels this weekend, and we used to like with the those answers, right? Like Hagar and like Chun-Li for me because I play Chun-Li and Third Strike. But I don't know, just over the years, like it's shifted. So like, I don't want to say like we don't even care anymore, but it's just like we just know it's gonna happen. Like one of them's like.
We're no longer emotionally attached to whether or not a character wins or loses.
Right.
Like, it's this weird... it's hard to explain. I am pulling up a list of our Death Battle episodes so that I can say... Like, literally, every time I get this question, I'm like, God, I don't even remember all of the ones.
I'm
Like,
trying to think, and like, again, we won't ever let that affect the outcome, right?
Of course.
And so that's why we had to kill some of our favorite characters before. And again, like I said, we've just kind of become desensitized to it. Though I will say, like, probably if an episode's coming up that's got like one of my favorite characters of all time, then I'm just gonna be like, I hope it works out in their favor, but probably won't. So for example, like I think the most recent one that happened with was I'm a huge Berserk fan. So when we had Guts, I was a little anxious. I was like,
about whether or not
Guts was gonna win.
the Megazord Power Rangers, definitely.
Yeah.
It's sad to see them die. But, I mean, that was against Voltron.
Well,
So,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's going to be rough for them either way.
Yeah, Voltron's got that one. I will even admit that one.
And then if we ever do a Death Battle that has Kenshin Himura in it, that's gonna be.
Metal Sonic versus Zero. Like, I grew up with Sonic, and I always expected that Metal Sonic would win that matchup. That's one of those kinds of matchups where we go in and we're like, okay, we think this one character is going to win. It seems like they've got it in the bag, but let's do the research and really find out. And then we discover, no, it's the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And Metal Sonic versus Zero was one of those. And it was kind of a bummer to see Metal Sonic, turned into scrap metal, but
yeah, sometimes
still a cool animation.
Sometimes it's crazy. Like, we really will think that it's got it, and there's just some. You'd be surprised, like too, because these characters aren't made, to go up against each other.
Right.
They're in different universes, and sometimes a character will just have we come across this thing where they just have this perfect tool or ability or means that just totally screws over the other person. We're like, man, that is it's like somebody could see the future. We're like, one day on this fictional show that these people do, he'll need this,
Just gifted this ability to shut off robots with laser swords.
Right.
I don't know why.
Exactly.
It's not important right now, but maybe later.
Yeah.
It's somebody else's show.
Yeah. Okay, we're coming up to the end of the time.
All right.
All right, so we're going to do rapid fire.
All right.
Death battle. No thought, no research, gut instinct. Who would win?
Okay, you heard that. Don't take us too seriously.
Yeah. Oh, don't take me too seriously. You haven't seen the matchups.
Oh, well, in that case, later. I'm just kidding.
All right. Ronald McDonald or the Burger King King?
Burger King.
Ooh, but there's those Japanese commercials.
Oh, this is.
You're right.
Let's.
He doesn't have
I'm gonna go. I'm just say Burger King.
Burger
anyway.
King is super sneaky.
He's super sneaky.
Super sneaky. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. 50 PUBG characters or 50 Fortnite characters?
Oh,
Fortnite.
No
They're
one,
more cartoony.
No one wins that battle.
No. Kool-Aid Man or Pepsi Man?
Oh, Kool-Aid Man. You gotta go with Kool-Aid Man.
I'm
He's
gonna
so
go
much cooler.
I have looked into Kool-Aid Man. I know we're supposed to be doing this rapid fire, but see, I would have gone with Pepsi Man, but I did determine that Kool-Aid Man's soul does not actually reside in the liquid; it is in the glass because
Okay.
he's changed his liquid before. I may be looking into that fight because I really want to do Kool-Aid Man versus Macho Man Randy Savage someday.
We've been talking about
Like,
that. That's another one that's been just brought up all the
people
time.
who burst through walls.
Exactly.
for a
Yeah,
living.
because otherwise I say Pepsi Man would drink him with
yes.
his really, really scary mouth. But no, I'm gonna go with Kool-Aid Man.
All right.
He couldn't even get his arms around Kool-Aid Man to
He just
drink
dive
it.
in there and do that. He's got that freaky mouth that just woo, and he like keeps doing it.
No, Kool-Aid Man would destroy Pepsi.
Yeah.
I love that that became an argument. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
T-virus from Resident Evil or dysentery from the Oregon Trail?
Oh God.
No, I'm sorry. All I'm doing is like picturing like some weird crossover where like the yaks or whatever the mules like in the Oregon Trail get the T-virus. That's my answer. We create a new super disease.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. They merge to
Yes.
become one. The ultimate disease.
The D-virus.
The T-virus.
Oh, not the best name.
God,
All right.
Whoever makes the rip-off Death Battle, someone do that for me. I need to see that now. Okay. In the battle of Shang Tsung versus Ditto from Pokemon, who survives? The animator's sanity or his PC's processor?
Oh my God. Neither.
Which survived? The processor should survive, hopefully.
Hopefully, we can get a new animator, but that's an expensive processor. Thank you guys very much.
Oh, no problem, man. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Pleasure meeting you guys again.
Yeah, it was good seeing you. That was fun.
Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. We got more from Metrocon 2018. More from these guys, I am sure. Stay tuned.
Wow, 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 wow.